Where was I? Oh, yes, Inspector.
Time again to get lost in the jungle. From Kipling's two anthologies to Disney's animated adaptation and the live-action and CGI remakes, each version of The Jungle Book tells us something about the times in which it was made, no matter the form of media. Following my Part 1 video, I spent some time reading the sequel novel, the second Jungle Book, and arranging my thoughts. Both books contain non-linear stories that jump around in both time and location, including several stories without Mowgli. A couple of these chapters even take place in the Arctic, which is not the setting you would expect from something called The Jungle Book. Now, I'm going to try to distill some of the more interesting findings from this deep dive, but because it spans decades of time and different media types, you're gonna have to bear with me.
And I'll learn them all I know. Well, that shouldn't take too long.
I've already covered the wholesome values to be found in the first Disney film, and the hostile attitude some modern critics and even Disney themselves hold towards it now. Let me state the obvious from Part 1. I have contempt for the modern wave of remakes of classic Disney films.
Los pues.
Every last one of us.
But you're not all boys.
So?
No, I can't be bothered with that. I have no time for that sort of nonsense.
I don't count the ones from over 20 years ago that truly embraced live action, like the 90s Jungle Book and 101 Dalmatians. Those films captured some of the genuine charm from their source material and managed to add something new. But the more recent crop, while drawing on source material, seems to lack creative passion. How can you remake The Lion King almost shot for shot and yet lose every ounce of its magic? Animation is an interesting art form, in part because to do it well, it requires enormous care, planning out the story frame by frame. You could argue that CGI does the same, but the net effect seems to lose all the heart and style. There are a few moderately charming aspects to Jon Favreau's 2016 version, but this was an early sign of the golden rule of these remakes. The audience wants to be fed back the original version, as if it were a sing-along, but presented with a new aesthetic. This is a magic trick, and it was working for longer than I would have expected. The Lion King remake in 2019 made over $1.5 billion. But that said, the patience of the crowd may be over, and the illusion is gone, as the most recent Mufasa trailer has been heavily ratioed with downvotes.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Since I've mentioned The Lion King, one of the biggest surprises in my research has been how much of that story is influenced by the original Kipling books. In the book, Mowgli sets off a stampede of wild buffalo to kill Shere Khan, very similar to the wildebeests that trample Mufasa. In the 2016 remake, where Shere Khan falls into the fire, it's extremely reminiscent of Mufasa falling from the cliff. Disney has a history of borrowing from itself. Robin Hood recycles most of the character design of Kaa and Baloo for Sir Hiss and Little John, reusing the voice actor for the bear.
How's that grub coming, man? I'm starved.
Take a glance at the fancy ants, then maybe try a few.
And the hypnotic eyes for the snake. Some of the changes in the Jon Favreau version draw upon the original story. A stampede does save Mowgli when he hitches a ride to the Buffalo Express like he's riding a sandworm in Dune. Ugh. In the book, this is the stampede that would kill Shere Khan. The actor who portrayed Mowgli in the 2016 version is not good.
I'm done running from you.
And it's probably not entirely his fault. The real-life actors have to perform against a tennis ball on a stick, the world's greatest struggle with green screen.
I got absolutely miserable and had a little cry to myself.
It was so distressing and off-putting and difficult that I thought, I don't want to make this film if this is what I'm going to have to do. It's not what I do for a living. I act with other people. I don't act on my own.
So it's probably not a reasonable expectation for a child to do better.
Let's keep those heels together, shall we, son?
Okay, Pop. Sir.
Walt Disney was a brilliant man, and while the Kipling stories invented the characters, there's no question that the Disney film is what embedded them into the common cultural imagination. Mowgli is exploring identities. He starts as a wolf cub, attempts to join the elephants, tries to be a bear, considers living with the monkeys, and then bonds with the vultures. But in the end, he chooses to join the man village when he discovers his biological counterpart, a woman. This helps him understand his true nature. Women are a key aspect to male identity and transformation from boyhood to adulthood. While Pinocchio changes from artificial child to a real boy by proving his virtue and loyal heroism to rescue his father, Mowgli immediately understands his biological imperative, allowing him to civilize from a beast of the wild to a water-carrying Kärtner.
Sam! Sam! Sam!
No.
It's about family, and that's what's powerful about it.
Walt Disney used The Jungle Book to demonstrate that while man can live in feral nature, his proper place is in society, human society. The original books and adaptations further explore what various animal perspectives might be of mankind. Rikki-Tikki-Tavi is a mongoose adored by a British family residing in India. His natural enemies are a pair of cobras with murderous intentions for that family, though this is further provoked by the very presence of Rikki, an existential threat to their survival. An animated television special was created by legendary animator Chuck Jones to tell this tale, and it was faithfully narrated by no other than Orson Welles. Rikki, while still an untamed, wild creature, takes on the role of protector, a guardian for the humans. This means eradicating the cobras, even their eggs. The morality framing of the story is superficially clear. The snakes are evil and hostile, and the mongoose is good and friendly. But consider it further. The story begins with a symbiotic bonding between a lost mongoose and the human family, making them sympathetic characters. But the snakes also wish to protect their eggs, their family, and the story ends when Rikki assaults their nest without compunction, destroying all of the eggs before killing each cobra in a bout of single combat. Both creatures using body and mind to plot ruses and tactically exploit the weaknesses of their foe. Morality becomes the brutal and savage quest for survival when the primacy of human beings and those friendly to them is cast aside for the law of the jungle. As a matter of survival, the logic becomes simply this to the viewer: cobras and humans cannot live together in peace, whereas humans and the mongoose can. And indeed, Rikki becomes ferociously protective of that family and merciless to the venomous cobras. So, all this discussion, what does the Jungle Book have to teach us today? Well, it tells us that the quest for identity can be complicated Like Peter Pan or Pinocchio, it tells wild young boys how to become men. It reminds us to respect and honor nature. And last of all, to have the grace to appreciate some good storytelling. Keep a song in your heart, as you never know what film could be your last.